Okay, so here we have 8th gen Civic Si, my little slice of heaven. Piece of shit. Anyway, this is 2007 Civic Si, and we're going to be doing a clutch video, clutch install, do it yourself at home. Stay tuned. So first things first, what we're going to have to do to get the clutch, to even be able to drop it before it's jacked up, we want to come over here. We've got to remove the air box and all wires, connections that go to it. Have to remove the battery right here and clear out the way so we can get the shift linkage from the top of the transmission, which is located right down here. So we're going to be removing the battery first. Obviously you got your positive terminal, your negative terminal, you take those off. And then right here and right here are two J bolts that you just unloosen them up, and it takes off the tie down. You can pull it right out and it comes right off. Okay, so now that we have the battery out, came right out of here. You got it sitting over here with the casing, the two casings around it, and the hold down over there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and take off the air box. There's 6 little clips that hold this onto that. Then there's 3 bolts holding the whole box down. And then here you just need to unplug this wire. And there's a little tube right here, this little air tube. You need to take that off. And come over here, screw down here. And then the lower side to where the battery is connected is where the lower side of the air tube is. It's right down there. So you need to take those off. So now what we have is the completed airbox assembly is out. That just came right up and out of here. So the next thing we need to do is get the shift linkage out, because that needs to be disconnected for the transmission to come down and out of the job. So stay tuned for that. Alright, so now we just got the shift linkage out from right here. There are the 3 bolts to actually get the whole bracket from the shift link that I just put up here just to keep out of the way for when you're dropping the transmission, trying to get your fingers in shit. As you can see, the 3 bolts there, there, and there that needed to come out. So now what we got to do is there's a couple of wires and shit that you need to get out of the way so when you drop it, you know, pulling wires and shit out of the engine. And then what you want to do is you want to come over and you got to find the bolts that hold the transmission on, which are up in here from the top. There's one sitting back behind there and one up in there that you can see from here. The rest you can get from the underneath. So stay tuned for that. Alright, so we got an update going on here. What I've done so far is I've just put the clips back on so I don't lose them, put the bolts back on so I don't lose them. I disconnected. This is the line that runs to your slave cylinder that pushes the throw out fork. So I just took that was bolted on right here. I just put the bolt back in so I don't lose them. So I just put this over so when we drop it, it doesn't pull the line and break that. I'd hate to run a new one. Next we got, there is, you can't really see it because of the light, but down in there's a little cable connection. You just need to plug that out. That's this wire that's running here. And then we got another one right here that you just need to pull out so they can be dropped from the engine. Last video update from the top for now before we jack the car up. I just wanted to give you guys an update showing you that the wires are out. I just have them tucked up over here, get them out of the way. They're the 2 little connectors, the one right here, that one, yeah, it's right up in there, and then the one down is on the side of the transmission there. Also right here, there is where the ground wire was. I just put the bolt back and I tucked the wire up right here because you're going to need to take off that little ground before you can drop it. So now that I got some bolts broken up on the top and this bolt broken with these broken, are going to now we're going to jack up the car. And so where we're going to place the jack is we're going to go directly underneath the front there'll be a subframe that you need to. We have a floor jack that we can jack up from there, and then we're gonna put that big old jack stands up on the tabs that you guys will know that you have for to hold it to support that there, because eventually we're gonna have to take the jack off the subframe and lower the subframe to get the transmission out. Now we've got the car up on the jack, but got the wheels off, and we got the jack stands placed right up under here, and on the other side right over there to support the car. So really, we don't even need this jack anymore. Just lower that out and get it out of the way. And from under here, you can see that I jacked up right here on the subframe, which is actually a big box that goes around that we're going to have to lower to get the transmission out. But first, what we got to do is come over here and we got to lower this shit. We got to take off this shit. Big old axle nut right here and the 2 bolts here to let this break away, and you can take off the axles on both sides. So we're going to do that and then get back to you. Alright, back with another update. So what we've done so far is we've gone in here. Sorry, it's not literally a lot of light. But we've gone in here, took off the little A-arm right there. The 2 bolts that go right up in there. Loosened these up. There's 2 bolts holding that on. And pulled the shaft out just to get it away from the subframe. Same thing on this side. So those are the 2 bolts I'm talking about right there. It lowers this part off, goes right to those. And then the A-arm, there was 1 bolt there, 1 bolt right in there. And there's a bolt up here you need to take off. And in there, can't really see it, but up in there is the transaxle. So that's where the fucking axles come from. And to get those out, just make sure you give it a, you're gonna undo it from the front, because there'll be the axle nut on there, 35mm, 35mm, excuse me. So you just take that, and then the other side, you just put like a screwdriver up in there and pop it off, and then you're all set. Both sides. This one doesn't have any nuts besides the axle nut on it, but the other side does have 3 holding the axle in, so you're gonna have to get those from the bottom. Hey guys, gonna show you from the bottom what we got going on here. Let me grab a flashlight. So we're underneath here. Hate that I can't see shit, but that's the fucking axle right there, and then we got bolts all up around here. So we got 1 bolt here, 1 bolt up there, 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 and there, and that will give me enough access to the. That's probably easier if I do it this way. So there's a bolt right there, a bolt up there, a bolt holding that bottom engine mount that you have to take off, a bolt in the back right up there, 1 right here, and then 1 in the center holding that front mount. That has to be loosened up before you can do anything. But once you do that, you want to jack up, put a piece of wood under the oil pan and put a jack so you can support it, since you're taking off the 2 motor mounts. And then you're going to want to have some sort of transmission jack or another jack under the transmission so you can take that down with it. Alright, so we got getting ready to get the subframe out. First, we're just going to take off the transmission mount right here, and what we have is supported underneath on the oil pan, but make sure you have a piece of wood that you can jack so it disperses the weight evenly so you don't crack it. And then transmission's got the tabs on there to hold it up for when we're going underneath. Hey guys, we just got that's the subframe right here, which is a bitch to get out, I'm not gonna lie to you. Not only are there the subframe bolts that hold on it, you gotta make sure that you come over and there's these 2 right here have a bracket on it. You can actually reach from the top of the engine, and then there's another one over here and 2 more over here for the tie rod. So you gotta make sure you get those out. And then right here there were wires in there so you got to get that out too before you can lower it out. And this one bracket that goes over, some sort of steering box that you got to make sure you get out. Alright, now the subframe's out. We went under, re-braced up the engine, and now we have another jack under the transmission to support the weight of that. But first we went around the engine and where the engine meets the transmission bell housing and loosened up all those, broke them, make sure they're all loose before we're under there. And then I just have a rope going to the top of the transmission. There's a couple little mounts on the side that I have those going to just to make sure nothing happens. So now what we're going to do is come over and take off the engine mount, the transmission mount, and loosen up the other bolts holding the bell housing on, and the engine will, transmission will lower right out. Alright guys, we ended up having to take off that brace, that the entire transmission mount right there. We ended up having to take off the entire thing, and there was a little bracket in the back that had to come off. But now, as you see, transmission's all out. We have that on the jack right here. It's the transmission, and right in there is where your clutch is. So that's what we're gonna have to be replacing. And now that the transmission's out, it's gonna be pretty easy. Alright, so we went under. It's the pressure plate right here. Took that off with the 6 nuts going around. And then this is the old clutch plate. And as you can see, it's real worn down. Not really much on it left, which is, you know, causing the problems and shit. You can go up under the car, I'll show you. Got a flashlight this time. Right here is the flywheel. So that's actually in good condition. And then here is the bell housing of the transmission. We gotta take out that clutch fork and the throw-out bearing. We'll be replacing that next. Alright, so we just got the new clutch in. This is the new throw-out bearing right here. And right in there is the new clutch. Just make sure that when you tighten it down, it's 19 foot-pounds of torque, and that you leave the alignment tool in to keep it centered when you're tightening down the pressure plate. So now pretty much everything we did beforehand, we just got to do in reverse. Hey guys, just finished getting everything back, buttoned together, buttoned up. All the tires, everything's all back on. But just as, you know, a warning to everybody that, you know, if you're about to take this on, you're about to do this project, to definitely give yourself at least 3 days and at least 2 people to work on it. It took me and another guy a couple days to do it. So definitely budget at least 3 days and make sure you have everything. And it's a pretty tough job, so just be aware of what you're getting into. Thanks for watching, guys.